Hey, fellow travelers. Welcome to a new day. This is Zen, and thank you for joining me yet once again on our journey coming back from fear. Today is episode 11, Being a Lackey. In this episode, we will be focusing on the fear of not having enough. There was this frog who was sitting on his lily pad one day, looking around at the other frogs, the lily pads around him, and he suddenly felt like his wasn't good enough. So he hopped off into town to seek a loan to improve his pad. The loan officer greeted him, "Hello there, I'm Mr. Pattywack. May I help you today?" And Mr. Frog introduced himself and explained his predicament. "Well," answered Mr. Pattywack, "in order to give you a loan, we are going to need some sort of collateral." With that, Mr. Frog thought for a moment, and he said he'd be back. He hopped on home, and he dug out a tiny white elephant made out of a rare stone that his uncle had given to him many years ago. So he hopped back to the bank and presented the item to the loan officer. "Very nice," he commented. "Since this is a unique type of item, I'm going to need to run this by my boss," he said. And he stepped down the hall to the large office. When he presented the situation to his boss looked carefully over the small item and replied, "That's a knick-knack, Pattywack. Give the frog a loan." So Mr. Frog, he ended up getting his loan. And now he's going to have to work hard to pay it all back. Was he content with his own life circumstances, before he saw others and thought he needed more? Probably so. But I imagine we can relate with this frog as well. Children in, third world countries are very satisfied not having a cell phone at age 15. They might not even know that they exist. And if they knew, they found out, maybe suddenly they might start feeling less because they feel they need that, to be comparable, possibly, to the others. Or, depending on how they were raised, they might not even care. For several, episodes now, we have been looking at fears and determining that everything so far is rooted in a few basic fears. The fear of being rejected and not being loved, or the fear of death, or, at the very least, a painful death. Since we are focusing on the fear of not having enough, this, of course, always applies to love. We believe a story in our minds that if we don't receive love from the outside of us, then we will never have enough love. It is something, we are taught to look outside of ourselves for our wholeness and completeness. And as long as we are in this mindset, living our lives in our fear ego, in this world of conditional love, we will always fear losing that conditional love. And rightly so. We would fear it because that conditional love is so unstable and so volatile that it will disappoint us at some point. We will lose that conditional love at some point, and usually quite often. Whether it be someone saying something not in the way we wanted them to say it, or them not saying something we think they should have said, like maybe "I love you" first, instead of me always having to be the one to say it first. Or maybe not getting the promotion or the raise we thought we deserved, or not getting the Christmas present we thought we should have received, or that our tire should not have been flat on our car, even though it is 10 years old. So many things on our long list of conditions for conditional love, and they all have to be met 100% in order for us to feel loved. Not going to happen. We will always, always, always be disappointed. And as I will keep mentioning, it is the design of this life. All this outward conditional love is designed to contrast and reflect back to us the opposite of unconditional love. And only when someone has remembered who they really are, that powerful, supernatural being made from unconditional love, only then are they able to give out of their heart without any expectation or any attachment to gratitude or outcome or defining themselves by the act. It's very rare, yes. But that is why we are here, to experience those uncomfortable opposite emotions. Layers above this root of fearing losing conditional love, on our list of many conditions, is a special category of those things or situations that need to exist in my life. And that is the focus of this episode. One of our greatest fears is thinking we will never have enough. In our society, especially in the United States, most possessions need to be purchased by money, or at least by credit or debt, meaning we will pay 2 or 3 times more for the item after interest, sometimes maybe even more. But I must have that now. It is worth it. We fear that we won't have enough food or have enough money for our rent or mortgage and will be thrown out on the street, or not have enough money to pay the car payment, lose our vehicle. God forbid I will have to take public transportation or walk. Or I fear I won't have enough money to buy the right clothes and be embarrassed to wear old, wore-out clothes, or not have enough money to pay for heat or air conditioning, or be able to afford electricity or, oh my God, cable or a cell phone. Or maybe I won't be able to afford any of my medical treatments, or be able to give my kids what they need for school or the events for school, and then they'll be embarrassed. What kind of parent would I be? And what do we do? What happens to us when we are fearing all this? Well, anytime we fear, we're going to go into fight or flight mode. And what does that do to us? Well, one of the things, it makes us not think clearly. So we act impulsively, maybe overspend, buy things for security. We buy things we will never use, or too much of what we would use and it spoils or is stolen when we're not there to protect it. Our bodies, when they're in fight or flight, go into a physical defense mode, and our immune system shuts down. So then we get sick or we get an illness. Our digestive system shuts down, so we develop ulcers and digestive issues. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. The doctor bills start adding up. Great. We go more into what goes into fight or flight in episode 2 at the beginning of this series. So if you want to check out more, check out episode 2 on the impact to our bodies. When we, in this fear mode, we get stressed and start snapping at our loved ones, and out of fear, we probably end up exhausting ourselves by working longer and harder. fearing that we are going to lose everything. You might say, well, that isn't me. I have plenty of everything, but I still feel discontent. Well, that is the end of our plight right there. The end of this journey of not having enough. When we do have enough, it takes us in a different kind of unique situation, because we will work so hard and sacrifice so much, we will either lose it all or our health and die, or we will succeed in reaching our goal of becoming financially stable and then realize we are still empty. Usually, we'll keep raising the bar for ourselves, thinking if I just had another $10,000, or if I just had this vacation property, or had that vehicle I always wanted, or an RV, or a boat, or a motorcycle, or was able to go on that dream vacation, or live in my ideal location. It's always something more. But really, can ask ourselves, what more do I need to be happy right now? It's a great question. Because we are taught to place our contentment in the future when all these conditions are met. But those conditions keep changing because we see something else that is happening in someone else's life, or on TV, or in a movie, or online, and think, oops, I need that too. We hear, of billionaires and very wealthy people who have killed themselves because they were still unhappy after having so much. Discontentment. What a delicious, life-changing emotion. There is a story in the Christian Bible that always confused me when I was growing up in that religion. And it's the story of Job. And basically, the story goes, this man he was very well off. And he had everything someone could seem to want. He had a large family with children, many possessions, many employees, and was considered one of the richest among all the people in the East back then. He had a great heart. He sought after the Creator, and he tried to avoid, doing bad things. There was a part of the story about the devil bringing to the attention of the Creator that this guy, Job, praised him. Well, everything was going good, but if he took things away from him, he would surely curse at God. And we'll skip past that part for now, because I want to focus on the amazing gift that is laced within the lines of this story. So according to the story, the Creator allowed the devil to take away this, and then take away that, and then take away more and more. So kind of what happened, Job, he lost his sheep to an invasion force, and his servants were slaughtered. And then lightning struck and killed all his sheep or oxen, just these herds of animals that he had, as well as the servants watching over them. And then his camels were driven away by yet another invading force, and they killed his servants that were watching over those. And then a big wind came, and it made the house collapse on all his children, and he lost all of them. They were all killed. And if that wasn't enough, then he lost his health, and he was stricken with leprosy over his entire body. So, after reading this story, if we read it while we're in the mentality of the fear ego, we're, oh, wow, that poor guy, he lost everything. But if we look at it from the viewpoint of our powerful, supernatural being of unconditional love that is right here within us, if we look at it from that viewpoint, we can see what an amazing turning point this was for, Job in his journey. When he had all the earthly things taken away from him, he was left with everything that he needed. The unconditional love that exists right here in our soul heart. Had he not, been forced to face that, then he would have never known that security in the unconditional love. And he might have always had an undergoing fear of losing or loss of those external things. We do come from that place, a place so amazing and unconditional, that in order to understand it more, we come here to experience what the opposites might be like. It's like experiencing oxygen all around us. And maybe we're not aware of it, or maybe not appreciative of it as much, for what it is. But put us in a bubble of oxygen and drop us into the sea. We become aware so much more deeply of what oxygen is when it's contrasted next to water. We see how it is different than water and how much oxygen is a part of who we are. We do have everything we need. Another example, it's like a prince who lives in a mansion and he has everything he needs, and he's playing this video game called Loss, Loss. It's not real. It's just a game that he's playing. You can hear the advertisement for the game right now. Experience what it might feel like to lose love. Experience what it might feel like not having everything we need to survive. Fear, it's what every child wants for Christmas. And then he gets the game, and then when he finishes experiencing everything he wanted in the game, and the life ends on the game, and then it's just time for him to turn off the game. He goes outside and plays back home. We will always have enough for this moment because all we need is unconditional love. And we have that right here. If we don't have what the physical body needs, game over. And we return our focus back home. Read a great reminder on Facebook today that we can't always choose what music is playing in our lives, but we can choose how we want to dance to it. Origato, Mr. Roboto. Or maybe even, staying alive, staying alive, staying alive. And for the youngsters that are listening to this, those are old songs with unique dance moves, just so you know. And one choice that seems to be a cure for the fear of not having enough is thankfulness. We have so much, and gratitude is the cure for lack. At the beginning of 2016, I decided to have like a daily journal of gratitude that I would write in. And every day I would sit and sincerely write one thing that I was thankful for in my life. And I did that for 6 months. In the beginning, it was easy. There were so many normal things, but I tried not to repeat myself. And after a while, I had to almost choose to be thankful for things. And it did change my attitude about life. Give it a try, even if it's for a week or even like for 1 month. It'll change you. It'll bring a whole new mentality, a whole new belief about how you feel about life. But it did teach me that we can choose to see abundance anywhere. There is always a silver lining. And we need only open our eyes of gratefulness. Worrying about all these things is like living on a volcanic island with a large active volcano in the middle that it's due to explode and erupt at any moment. Why do we care about the size of house that we have on that island or that the things it is filled with? It's all going to go away. Really, all I would really care about is making sure I have a boat to get off that island. Because we can't take any of it with us. All we take with us are the experiences we have had in our lives, the conditional love that we experienced. And then we wake up sometime in our lives to the unconditional love that sits right here inside us. Or if not during our lives here, definitely at the end. Suddenly, when the game is over, we are aware once again that we are not in the game. We're just playing it on the big screen. And then we go have a snack or empty the trash or something. Next episode, we're going to focus on our fear of being in pain. It's kind of fitting for the beginning of this new year coming up, when we all start to try to exercise again. So until next time, remember, we always have everything we need right now, right here inside us. Every moment is of unconditional love or the fear of losing conditional love. Remember who you are.